It's author, musician, singer Al Cole, from a CBS radio background, now host of the syndicated talk show People of Distinction, celebrity interviews giving high-level public figures the chance to talk about their very special human feelings, too. Because celebrities are human beings, people, and we are all people of distinction. And when given the chance, we will all speak openly about the very reason for our birth, the energy and dedication of what we call love. Hey, and speaking of love, oh, you're going to love these messages. On People of Distinction, we deliver the goods. It's Al Cole, host of the syndicated talk show People of Distinction, throwing the spotlight on the dynamic Cavi Mack and Melissa Cook. They're co-owners of We Juggernaut Entertainment, LLC. Yeah. We Juggernaut Entertainment is a driving force in today's national and international music scene. They're a new international distributor, publisher, booking agency, and entertainment company. We Juggernaut Entertainment has 33 signed artists based throughout 8 regional departments in 19 states, 9 countries, and 5 continents. And that's not all. They've got 31 singles in over 600 digital stores. I know you're going to love this one. Their motto is saving the world one release at a time. Whoa there. And if you want to get on board, then visit them at their Instagram page at WeJuggernaut_Entertainment_LLC, or email them at WeJuggernautEnt@gmail.com. And let me clue you in. Juggernaut is spelled Juggernaut, and it means, get this, a huge, powerful, and overwhelming force or institution. And I gotta tell you, We Juggernaut Entertainment is living up to that billing as a huge, powerful, and overwhelming force these days in the entertainment world. So one more time, got to visit We Juggernaut Entertainment at their Instagram page at WeJuggernaut_Entertainment_LLC, or email them at WeJuggernautEnt@gmail.com. It's Al Cole, host of the syndicated talk show People of Distinction, throwing the spotlight on the dynamic Nadine Joy. She's a life and business coach and author of the great new book, Uncover Your Purpose. All right, so I'm going to start it out this way. Did you ever think of yourself as dusty? Now I can hear you saying right now, Al, what do you mean? I don't even get it. Yeah, I know you don't get it, but at least I got your attention. Now, let's get into it. You know, Nadine is not only a great life and business coach and the author of the wonderful book, Uncover Your Purpose, but she's also a jewelry designer. Yeah, and she knows that every beautiful gem starts out as a diamond in the rough. Yeah, part of Mother Nature, part of the earth, shaking it off there, all that dust, and now discovering its own purpose. Yeah, the beautiful purpose of life now becomes that precious gem that you always were too. Get it? You're the diamond in the rough, and all Nadine has to do with her life and business coaching and her book, Uncover Your Purpose, is to shake that dust off of you and get you to understand your purpose like that beautiful gem that you really are. Whoa! Hey, Al, I get it. I love it. Where can I order this book? You know, I'm glad you asked. Go to NadineJoy.com. That's www.NadineJoy.com. And don't forget, Nadine is worldwide, consulting through phone, Skype, and Zoom. So get in touch, NadineJoy.com, and get involved in her beautiful life and business coaching, and also uncover your purpose there. Hey, we love it. It's Al Cole, host of the syndicated talk show People of Distinction, throwing the spotlight on another one of my great guests of distinction, this time a dynamic and dedicated person, Ty Bollinger. And he's the president of The Truth About Cancer, and I love it. You know, Ty's whole life changed after his own beloved father died of cancer. And ever since then, Ty has been a fighter for effective cancer treatments. And the best way I can put it is in Ty's own heartfelt words. Let's end the cancer pandemic once and for all. every single day tens of thousands of people just like you are curing cancer and or preventing it from destroying their bodies. Now it's time to take matters into our own hands and educate ourselves on real prevention and treatment. It could save your life or someone you know. Doctors, researchers, experts, and survivors show you exactly how to prevent and treat cancer in The Truth About Cancer, a global quest. Wow! And if Ty's great message makes sense to you, you got to run to this website and learn more. Just go to thetruthaboutcancer.com. That's www.thetruthaboutcancer.com. And remember, many highly effective cancer treatments are being blocked from your knowledge. But Ty Bollinger's dedicated work is getting out the truth about cancer. So one more time, make your next medical visit to thetruthaboutcancer.com. That's www.thetruthaboutcancer.com. It's Al Cole. We're here on People of Distinction, the talk show that edifies as it entertains and informs. I told you you were going to love those messages. Hey, I'm also the author of the exciting new book, Al Cole, Romance for Women. I'll tell you, at last a book of sensual love poetry to women and the needed spiritual relationship guidance to both women and men. Happy to say that my book, Al Cole, Romance for Women, is now available on Kindle, and I'd like to thank all of my Alcoholics who have bought it and also benefited from it, too. That's Al Cole, Romance for Women, ALCOLE, Romance for Women, now available on Kindle. Thousands and thousands of women, guys too, listen to my talk shows, People of Distinction, every week, and they contact me with their questions, reflections, and comments at alcoholic@gmail.com. You heard me right there. That's ALCOLEHOLIC@gmail.com. So without any further ado, hey, we get into it. Hey, it's syndicated radio talk show host, author, singer, Al Cole, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. I come from CBS Radio. My shows are nationally syndicated, and I've helped pave the way to treating women, guys too, with the dignity that they deserve. And I help treat people with dignity in many different ways. My show, of course, I have people from all over the country, parts of the world, who come on. They talk about how their achievements, whether they be professional achievements or they're helping out in the communities, whatever, sometimes students who are talking about their experiences as students, and sometimes even younger people in panel discussion on People of Distinction, talking about ways that we can make our human family a little bit better. And better, and better. Hey, we can get there, people. We are getting there. And with my People of Distinction show, it's aired through top networks, including Apple's iTunes Radio Network, under their very professional division. And they air CBS shows, BBC shows, NPR, National Public Radio, Fox News, everything. So get a lot of feature out there. And I also have my own broadcasting network, the Al Cole People of Distinction Broadcasting Network, that also features the talk of other like-minded talk show hosts around the country and even parts of the world, and includes the good friend of mine, the international actress Dee Wallace. Dee Wallace is the actress who starred in one of the biggest films ever, Steven Spielberg's E.T., the extraterrestrial, and Dee Wallace has been airing her shows on my network for many years, and her shows are called Conscious Creation. Dee is always out there doing new film and in there as one of the top talk show hosts around the country with Conscious Creation. So check it out on my radio network. You can go to my website, peopleofdistinction.org. You can read up on all of the things we're doing, especially my People of Distinction Humanitarian Awards event coming up in Florida in April, Friday the 13th of April. And, wow, great event. By the time that this show airs, we will have maybe had that event. We'll have to see about the airing date of this. So if we've already had that event, hey, it was a great event. And if you're hearing it now for the first time, even before the event, well, it might be sold out. However, check it out. Go to my website, peopleofdistinction.org, and you can always check out all of the unsung heroes. And one of the unsung heroes that you really want to check out is a guy named Michael Loya. And this show is going to be partially for his sake here, and for the sake of another great guy that I'm going to introduce in just a second with my People of Distinction Humanitarian Awards. Now, Michael Loya is a guy who has a network. It's really become big, American Hearts Radio, but it's mostly TV and, video, everything, based in Atlanta as well as Jacksonville, Florida, and really all around the country. He has people who have their great shows on his network. And he's going to be one of my unsung heroes at our event coming up on April 13th. And one of the people who's a big support to Mike, and even airs his show on Mike's network, is our special guest here today. His name is Richard Norton. Now, Richard comes from a lot of different backgrounds here. This guy is kind of like a Renaissance guy. Regional sales manager, all of that stuff. Of course, I've done a lot of sales myself, and credit card education. We can all use that. And then, on the other hand, he is aligned with a wonderful organization that helps out the homeless and helps out very needy people and hungry people. Hunger does exist, even in this country. We know it exists around the world, particularly what we call the third world, parts of Africa, Asia, where people just don't have enough to eat. And the real tragedy is many people die of starvation. And we know that food is necessary to sustaining life, and yet on this planet, people are dying of starvation. It's unacceptable. And Hands and Feet Foundation of Jacksonville, Florida, they think it's unacceptable too. And Richard is involved in that wonderful foundation. Richard is going to tell us about his experiences helping out the homeless, helping out hungry people, helping out needy people of all varieties with Hands and Feet Foundation. And, we'll put focus, too, on his day gig here, a regional sales manager and everything, and how he makes the two work. Now, this is really something. Richard is a special person. And so is Michael Loya and everybody. And I had a couple of weeks ago, the founder of Hands and Feet Foundation, great guy, James. What's the last name? Richard, calling you on early here. James' last name is
James.
Say it again.
James Candy.
Yes. Okay. So he's the guy, and James was on a couple, depending on the airing of this show, a few weeks ago, and made a great splash. Had a wonderful interview, helping out so many, many people. And we're going to be talking about it all here on People of Distinction with Al Cole today, Hands and Feet Foundation, everything else that our guest, Richard Norton, is involved with. So let's get it going right now. We have a website that I want to promote, two websites ahead of time, Hands and Feet. Let me see. Let me just get this up a little bit closer here. All right. handsandfeetfoundation.org. And that's Hands and then just the letter N, Feet, Foundation.org. And then Richard's website, retrievermerchantsolutions.com. You can run to both of those because we're going to be talking about both things. And we're going to be talking about a lot more than just two things here. For your elevation, people, on People of Distinction. Welcome, Richard, to People of Distinction with Al Cole. Great pleasure to have you on. How are you, Richard?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you for that introduction. It is an honor and certainly a privilege to be on your show.
Look at that. It's really quite a privilege to have you on as well, as one of the people who really going to make the People of Distinction Humanitarian Awards event in Florida
really a winner for everybody in that area that comes in, everybody nationally. And it won't be just limited to that event. We're going to make it work even after that for the betterment of our human family. So thank you so very, very much for your participation in that. And also now on People of Distinction with my show, let's talk it up here about, let's start out with Hands and Feet. Got to do that because Hands and Feet is such a wonderful, wonderful organization helping out so many people. And like you said, James Gandy, the CEO from Jacksonville, Florida, and that guy, he's really a down-to-earth guy. And when he told me on the show that he and his wife, Amy, just put it together, and they don't charge or anything, and they don't even have government handouts. You know, a lot of organizations, well, they run to the government to help to subsidize. It's local businesses that donate food and whatever the Gandhis need, their clothes, things along that line to help people in that area. Huge amount of people that they help with food, clothing, all of that. And they just make ends meet, you know, and a lot of it has to do with up above, you know, spiritual, and, you know, God's help. And we need to focus on that, too. We are spiritual human beings. So all of this intertwines, and with your involvement, boy, we're going to really talk it up here. Tell us about your involvement with the Hands and Feet Foundation.
Absolutely. Yes, for me, it is certainly a God thing. At the beginning of last year, I had a prayer, and my prayer was to God, stating, God, I know I'm doing good for the kingdom, but am I really making a difference? And I prayed to God, and I asked him to point me in a direction where I can truly make a difference in people's lives. Now, I'm in a praise band at our church, and we do wonderful music there, and it's great, but I just felt that I just needed to be at a higher level. So I started searching for different ministries, and I gave financially and did a couple things, but it just wasn't where I was supposed to be. And we know that God works in different ways when we least expect it. You talked earlier that I'm in sales. I do credit card processing machines, and I was out canvassing, selling on 103rd Street in Jacksonville, Florida, and I pulled up to what I thought was a business. I thought it was a thrift store because I saw people outside looking at some of the clothes and some of the toys that were out there. And my intention was to go in there and to sell them credit card processing. Well, I met Amy, and she was a little standoffish in the beginning because I'm a salesman coming in. And then as I start talking with her more, I felt the Holy Spirit just speaking to me, this is where you're supposed to be. And I started talking with her. She started telling me her testimony, started telling me what they do at Hands and Feet, how they feed the homeless every single day. And it just happened to be that I showed up right at 12 noon, right when they were getting ready to start to feed the homeless there. She introduced me to James. I met him. I made a donation. Every time before they serve everybody, they get in a circle and they pray. So I got right in a circle and I prayed with them. And I left at that point, and I let them know. I said, hey, my wife and I do music. Maybe sometime I'll come out here and hopefully see you again. Now, when I drove away and left, I had tears in my eyes because I knew that's where God was calling me to serve, right in that ministry. Yeah. Incredible. They called me 2 weeks later, and Amy called me up and stated, she said, look, my husband and I, James, have been praying, and we really would like for you to come out again as soon as you can, to come out and do some music, you know, play your guitar and do some music. We've been really praying for that. We really need that. And it just so happened that I was available that Sunday. My wife, I didn't force her to come. I started telling her about it. She goes, wow, I'd like to come also. And then my daughter says, what are you guys doing? I want to come too. So the first time we went out there, we didn't know what to expect at all. I brought my guitar. We did some praise and worship music and had a great time. And the relationships were built, and we covered the food for that day. And we knew just leaving, it was confirmed in our heart that this is something that God is doing big here, and we need to be here, and we need to serve here. So that was the beginning for us. That was, we're going on almost a year and a half now, and I go out there, and my wife comes out with me at least once a week, either Saturday or Sunday, and we have church with everybody. What's incredible with James and Amy, they do this every single day. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've learned so much about serving people and about just serving God just from their spirit, because they don't look for anything. They're the most humble people that you could ever meet, and they just love these people and serve them, and it's incredible. I get emotional talking about it.
I tell you, yes. So do I. I love, and James and Amy, I mean, they're showing love to people just because they want to.
Yes.
And this is beautiful. And so are you. And it's so touching,
Thank
Richard,
you.
the rundown here. And I talked to Amy enough to know that, I can understand, that the salespeople are not first on her list.
Right.
But see, you were a salesman for, I'm going to put it this way, and see, I'm going to put it this way to you, my listening audience right now. Richard was a salesperson for the Lord, for God.
Yes.
See, It's important that we sometimes talk like this in our society and on shows like People of Distinction. I go by the guest, and I'll talk about a lot of different topics that are positive, and I love, ultimately, talking about spiritual direction, because that's really where I'm coming from, ultimately. Ultimately, everything that I do is spiritually drawn. And Richard makes it very, very easy in his involvement with Hands and Feet Foundation. Great organization. And I want you people, again, my listening audience, check it out. Go to handsandfeetfoundation.org. Let's get into some of the programs there that are really helping out people, helping the homeless, helping people with maybe clothing, whatever. As I indicated at the beginning of the show, because James told me this stuff, donations. You don't get anything from the government.
No.
It's just donations, local businesses that donate food, and maybe even outside that area, that food is sent in, but through businesses, through other sources that way. Clothing, all of that. Are you involved in any of that aspect? And even if you're not involved in that aspect, you know about it. Tell us some of the ways that you build some of the food that you can now offer to some of the hungry people, and the clothing that you can offer to some of the people that need that. How do you reach out to businesses to provide that stuff, Richard?
Yes. The incredible part about everybody that comes there, and this is the sad part too, is that most of the people that are there have never felt welcome in any church building at all, which is a sad testimony for churches. And but they come here and they are treated like a human being.
Yes.
They're treated with love, with dignity, with respect, and everybody that's there cares for them, and they encourage them, and they pray for them. So they really become part of Hands and Feet family. And the goal, obviously, is not to keep them there. The goal is to get them there and to help them get into homes, to help them to feel good about themselves again. I was out there today, as a matter of fact, and I was working in the area. I had a little bit of time off. I had my guitar in the car, and I actually went in and did some music and broke out my Bible and read from Philippians 4, and we had about 15 people there, and they were eating food, and one young lady was very excited and proud because she was getting ready to go in for a job interview. And we all said, hey, before you leave, let's pray for you. So we prayed for her, and she walked away with a smile on her face. And it's just, that's what it's all about. Everybody that goes there are encouraged, they're loved, and they feel the presence of Jesus, and they feel the love of Jesus. And that's what it's all about. that defines Hands and Feet Foundation. Everybody that helps out, they're all volunteers. There's no paid people coming in. There's, like, as you stated, there's no government help at all, which we really don't want. You know, all the giving comes from people's hearts. So we have individuals that come from different churches. They decide, okay, on Tuesday, we're going to come in and we're going to provide the meal. Somebody comes in on Wednesday. So the Lord always provides. There's never a day where there's no food at all. And they get hot meals. Like, for example, today, they got chicken, they got rice, they had dessert, they had all kinds of food. And one guy showed up late. He goes, man, I am so hungry. I haven't eaten for 2 days. Do you have anything I could eat? I tried to get here. I rushed to get here. And we fed him, and he was just very, very happy. So they're getting hot meals just from regular volunteers that just have a heart for helping others out. The clothing comes from just people dropping off clothing. And there's so many different ministries. As I was talking to James the other day, that Hands and Feet offers, they're tied into other missions. We have, I heard 1 out of 3 homeless people are actually veterans, which breaks my heart when you hear that. So we have programs where they can actually get into housing. They can actually get their IDs. You know, James just has it all set up where they just walking through all that. We have prostitutes that come. I mean, we are ministering to the least of these people that are on drugs. They have a program where they can get to, it's called Set Free by the Sea, where they can go right into that and get themselves off drugs. So it's amazing, you know, miracles are happening and lives are being changed and hearts are being changed. And to be part of that is an answer to my prayer of, am I making a difference? Is God using me to make a difference? And I don't take any of the credit, certainly don't. None of us do there. We know that all the glory goes to God.
Boy, I'll tell you, that is a great testimony right there. And let's continue it on here with a testimony to also one of the families or individuals that you might have helped, and you got that person or that family back on their feet, and then they made that testimony to the ones around them, and it really just put things over the top with that glory that we're talking about right now, that spiritual glory. There must be a whole bunch of different stories in that area. Give us one of them, since you've been with Hands and Feet, some individual or some family.
Okay, sure.
That you really sparked and helped so much, and they went on and they helped other people in the community. Tell us about that story.
Absolutely. I'd love to do that. When I first started going there was a young gentleman by the name of Julio, and he was very angry and didn't have, you can tell just by talking with him, didn't have a lot of self-confidence, wouldn't give much eye contact at all, and just wasn't feeling good about where he was. God started moving in his life. He became a volunteer at Hands and Feet and actually started staying at the property, kind of like a security type of guy to watch and make sure everything was okay. He started serving. He started moving his way up into Hands and Feet. And he was, at that point, his family wasn't speaking to him at all, through past experiences. Well, through Hands and Feet, they saw a difference in him. He got reconciled with his family, and they provided a place. He ended up getting a job. He came back about 3 months later, and I'm like, who is this guy? I didn't recognize him at first. He was all dressed up. He had a nice haircut, looking sharp, big smile on his face, and it was Julio. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing, the transformation. And that is a prime example of what it's all about. And it's not, of course, we have sad stories at the same time. We had a homeless veteran that was struggling with heroin addiction. And he was living in his van. He came to Hands and Feet. He gave his life to God. And I remember one of the songs that we sang was called Redeemed, and it's done by Big Daddy Weave. And as we sang this song, tears were flowing from his eyes. And he came up to me at the end, and he said, that song just describes me right there. You described me all the way. But he goes, now I am redeemed. And I got to know him and found out that he played guitar, and he played guitar along with me as we were doing some praise music. Unfortunately, just recently, not even 2 months ago, we found out that he had passed away through a heroin addiction, through a heroin overdose.
Yeah.
And that's very sad, but the good part about he came to hands and feet. Nothing surprises God. He gave his life to the Lord. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to beat that addiction, but we know because of hands and feet where he's at today. So we take joy in that.
Isn't it beautifully put? And, with Julio, I'm going to make a reflection here, as I often do, on People of Distinction with Al Cole and very special guest, Richard Norton, who, among other things that he does, many things, he is with the Hands and Feet Foundation in Florida and really helping out so many wonderful people who just maybe happen to be down in the luck or something or whatever, homelessness, needing food, needing a little bit of clothing every once in a while, things along that line. And I'm gonna put it this way, people. Richard was talking about Julio. Well, I'm gonna say this. You are Julio. We're all Julios in this world. And somebody might say, well, Al, what do you mean by that? My name ain't even Julio. What I mean by that is, see, we all have a heart, we all have a soul. And now, some of us drift away from that heart and soul for whatever reason. Julio drifted away from it. You heard Richard say that Julio seemed to be hardened in the beginning. He was there, so he was there for a reason, but he was non-responsive. He wasn't as responsive as he should have been or wanted to be. And he seemed, in Richard's terminology, maybe to not have as much self-esteem as he would like to have. He looked at the world as maybe more of a challenge, more of something to get over on than something to love and involve in with friendship and caring. Well, that same Julio that came to Hands and Feet in the early days and was kind of hardened, well, when the Hands and Feet people got to him, helped him out, and maybe introduced him to other wonderful people who themselves made transitions. Well, that helped to transition Julio and get Julio closer to his own heart and soul. Heart and soul is who we are, people. We are the expositors of heaven on earth. We are spiritual expositors of whatever glory and God got us there in the first place. See, we forget that sometimes. And all we're doing, Hands and Feet, People of Distinction, all of the wonderful organizations out there that so numerous that, wow, can't count them. But they're all doing the same sort of work. They are bringing us back to the remembrance of who we really are. Bringing us back to the beauty of being alive at all and servicing each other, serving each other, reaching out to each other with love in our hearts, love in our soul. And what used to be hardened in the heart, now it's soft. Julio turned out to be that way. See, we're all Julios. No matter how high we rise, we can still rise higher. And as we rise higher, we can bring somebody along for the ride.
That's right.
Our friend, our loved one. And see, prayer has something to do with it, people. And it's not just the everyday, ordinary, average, usual prayer, which ain't ordinary and average at all. But not just praying for ourselves, and not just praying for our loved ones, and not just praying for the times when it's bad with us and our loved ones. Help us out of this. No. We can also say a prayer every night, every day, for somebody that we don't know, somebody who needs a little bit of softening of that heart. We can pray for, if we need to use a word, hey, let's say the Julios of this world. That's a good name. There are a lot of Julios who actually are named Julio, and the ones who ain't, well, we just designated them that way. This goes out to all the Julios that I want to help today, and that God can help too. Wow, that'll work. See, you're going way outside of your usual limited parameters as a human being here on this planet. Usually we don't think that way. Well, people, let's think that way. Let's start to think in terms of, I am the person who can help so many other people with my prayers. And my prayers are going out to people that I don't even know, but they're my brothers and sisters in the spirit. And so I do know them in the deepest part of my heart, my soul, and that will make you a better human being as well. And
absolutely,
that eye of God looking down, that heart and soul of God is smiling right now and saying, job well done. Is that making some sense here, Richard?
Amen. Absolutely. And you're right on target. You know, I say that we are blessed to be a blessing, and all of us are truly, truly blessed. And it's so easy to get in our own comfort zone and behind the walls of a church and just show up at church and think we're doing something. But God's called us to go out there and minister to all, to the least of these. And they're out there. They're everywhere. And I'll tell you what, I get more out of it than the people that we're serving. I walk away from there uplifted, encouraged, and blessed just by being able to do what we do. Every person that we encounter, they may have never met Jesus. They may never have opened up a Bible. They may have never been to church before, or maybe they went to church and had a bad experience. But the way I look at it is that I may be the only Jesus that they're ever going to meet. I may be the only Bible that they're ever going to read. So we as Christians, I'm preaching now, right? We as Christians need to stop being judgmental and looking down upon people, because every person that we encounter, whether they're poor or rich, Jesus died for them. He wants us to minister to them. It's no such thing as coincidence. When these people are put into our lives, they're there for a reason.
Yes.
And we're there to minister to them. And that's what we're called to do. So we need to get out of our comfort zone and just go out there and serve one another, and we will be thoroughly blessed just by doing that.
There you go. Boy, this is wonderful. We love that. Hands and Feet Foundation, and, of course, Richard Norton being on People of Distinction with Al Cole today and talking it up. And we just have a few minutes left in the show, Richard. This is so inspirational. And I want to take it out with something completely different. Yeah, okay. Although it's not completely different. It's going to jive here. It's going to make sense. Your day gig, if we can put it that way. I'm a musician. You've been talking about the guitar a lot. Musicians speak in terms of gigs and day gigs and everything.
Yeah.
And, well, you're a regional sales manager. And then particularly, I believe, credit card education, things along that line that would seem miles away from helping out the homeless and Hands and Feet Foundation, but you make them harmonious. How do you bring sales and credit card education into the realm of the spiritual aspects and the uplifting aspects of humanity that we've been talking about?
Absolutely, yes. I started at the age of 18. I answered an ad in the paper, have fun, make money, travel, and I found myself landing a position selling encyclopedias door to door based on commission. And I actually did that for 20 years, and I recruited and I trained and traveled all around the country, as a matter of fact, all over the world. Of course, as technology hit that area, encyclopedias were really no longer. And then I got introduced to the business that I'm in now, which is Retriever Merchant Solutions. And we sell credit card machines, POS terminals, and credit card processing. And the approach that we use is our job is to go out and help people save money on their credit card processing, get better service, get upgraded with the new technology, because technology, as we know, keeps changing and keeps changing, so we get them upgraded with that. And just from what I've learned, somebody told me that if you can do direct sales, you can pretty much do anything. And I know all about rejection. I know all about failure. I've learned that in order to succeed, you have to fail. I'm in my business, I'm considered the biggest success, but I tell everybody I'm the biggest failure. I've failed more than anybody, and I've succeeded more than anybody. So how this ties in for my ministry is all about attitude, really, as sales and any type of business, as you know, is just attitude. If we have the right frame of mind and we start with a positive attitude and we have the willingness to put forth the effort, we're going to achieve success. And I've achieved, praise God, a lot of success. I've had some down times, some up times, and some good positive times, and the Lord has thoroughly blessed me in this business, and I understand that I'm called to be a blessing to others. And actually, I just am thankful that He blesses me so much. I just want to bless people even more. So it's absolute honor, privilege. I know where all my blessings come from. They all come from my Lord and Savior.
Look at that. Boy, what a beautiful message here, people. On People of Distinction with Al Cole, we talk this way. We talk about everything that's positive in our world, and even some of the things that are not so positive that we can do something positively about. And this is Richard Norton. He's with Hands and Feet Foundation. He's also a regional sales manager, credit card educator, everything, helping out people that way too. I want you to go to retrievermerchantsolutions.com and utilize their services as well. Meet Richard, and boy, you're meeting a lot here. You're meeting a spiritual man, somebody who is really guided by that spirit, and we love that on People of Distinction. And I'm going to cap off the show here with a quick minute of putting it in possibility terms. I always love to cap off my shows with a little bit of reflection on possibility thinking here. And this is really going to hit home, as the whole show has with Richard. If everybody on the planet had their own Hands and Feet Foundation, whoa. Now, what a great possibility that would be. And why can't we? We all have a hand, don't we? We all have feet, yeah. And even some of the people who don't have a hand, maybe don't have either hands, maybe don't have both feet, maybe sometimes don't even have any feet, through disease, amputation, whatever. Unfortunate situations. We can lend our hand to those people.
That's right.
We can be their feet. And then we can be the hands and the feet of everybody. All we have to do is care enough. Now, put it this way, people, just to cap off the show. Have you ever loved anybody in your life? No. If I were doing this live right now, show of hands, who's loved somebody or something? All the hands would go up. I don't think that there's any human being, no matter how hardened they have gotten, who hasn't experienced love sometime in their life, have been loved by somebody, maybe just even their mother, but they're loved. And most people are loved by many different people. Well, all we have to do is just reflect every once in a while. Take some alone time, get to know your birth heritage, and reflect on some of the love that you've given and some of the love that you've received. You start doing that, you're saying, wow, man, life has been worth it here. Life has been good. I remember when I loved this person, or when this person loved me, or when I was a kid and maybe I just loved nature or something, or rolling in the grass, and I loved it. Ooh. Talk about love, and you focus on love. Now, some of the negative things, they just don't seem to matter too much, and they dissipate. Everything will dissipate in the face of love, people. And when we think of God, and I'm not telling you how you should think of God, how you should worship in the way that you worship, but everybody knows that, hey, look,
We were put here by something, someone, some higher force. We didn't create life ourselves. Well, you think of the Creator that got you here. I don't think you can think of evil. You're thinking of love. You're thinking of, wow, I want to be like that. I want to have my life like that. Well, you can do that. You can have your life like that. Just focus on some of the love that's already there, people, that you forgot about. Or you put to the back burner and occasionally, no, all right, comes out. No. Make it constant. Make it, hey, many times a day. Just reflect on that. And then say that prayer, not just for you and your loved ones. Every once in a while, when you're thinking about love, say a prayer in a loving way. Shoot it out to somebody that you think needs it. Or just make up a name like Julio. This goes out to Julio. Or Julio's sister. Or Julio's brother. All the brothers and sisters out there that I can help. Start doing that. Wow. Now we do focus on the love of our society. We start doing that, we focus on the respect that other people have for the people that they love and the things that they love. If we have respect for love, wow, that's putting us over the top, people. Respect for love. Whoa. That's how we talk on People of Distinction with Al Cole. Got to talk that way. Especially when we got Richard Norton on the show and talking about Hands and Feet Foundation and all the great work he's doing in business, too, with helping out people through sales. RetrieverMerchantSolutions.com. And don't forget handsandfeetfoundation.org. Thank you so much, Richard, for being my special guest on People of Distinction with Al Cole. And I just so much look forward to meeting you at the People of Distinction Humanitarian Awards event, honoring, among others, the great Michael Loya and all of his wonderful work with American Hearts Radio. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor and privilege for me, and I look forward to meeting you in person. And I wanted to personally thank you for all that you do. You are a true blessing all around the world, so God bless you.
God bless you, too.